You are listening to Eternal Wings, Audiobook, 1 by Fernand Smith. Chapter 1 First Flight to Harka's View.
I was a king, a pharaoh once, a long time ago. I ruled the known world. It was one of my happiest moments and achievements. Then I was bitten by what I now know as a vampire. I slumbered for eternity. Finally, awakening throughout the centuries, now awakened again in the 21st century, in what is called Metro City, a city I plan on protecting under the darkness of night, from those who practice evil, who hoard over the weak and honest humans. As I make my first flight since awakening, I spot a human couple walking a dimly lit street at night holding hands. I spot two goblins jump out of the shadows, their bald pointy heads and razor-sharp teeth and menacing blood-thirsty eyes, putting fear in the hearts of the terrified human couple. Flesh bags. We have been craving for human flesh. We are so happy you have come along to quench our thirst. I hear one of them say to the humans as he drools out of the mouth, his eyes representing the hunger and darkness in his soul. I swoop down, transforming from my vampire bat appearance to that of my human one. You will not feast tonight, wretches. My eyes begin to glow green as I summon the power of the eternal flame, which consumes the goblins as they scream in pain and horror, as their bodies melt and disintegrate, as their flesh boils and drips off of their fake human skin, revealing their wretched now molten goblin bodies. The human couple runs off in horror. I use the opportunity to turn back into that of a vampire bat and fly away from the scene. Goblins. Haven't seen them in ages. What are they doing in this century? And why? I will look into it later. For now, I will continue to make my rounds.
Subchapter: Business as Usual. A man, a mobster in a dark-colored suit, a member of the crime syndicate The Corp, stands over another man, who is slumped over clutching his stomach in pain. The Corp member pulls out his gun and points it at the man slumped over. You refuse to pay the protection fee, Jimmy. You know what we do to those who don't pay, the Corp member says in a menacing voice. The slumped-over man slowly leans his head up as he still holds his stomach with his hand. Tears are falling from the man's eyes. Please, don't kill me. I'll have the money. I'm a working man. And business has been slow. The man begs and pleads. It's too late for that, Jimmy. The boss doesn't like when people don't pay on time, replies the Corp member, now pointing the gun directly at the man's head, smiling. This is my favorite part. Business as usual, as the boss loves to say. I swear I love my job. A shadowy figure appears over the shoulder of the Corp member. The figure reveals himself to be Taharka. Taharka grabs the Corp member by the back of his neck and powerfully lifts him up and throws him against a nearby wall. The member crumples to the ground against the wall. Taharka stands over him, his eyes glowing red. I hate bullies, he snarls. The Corp member is terrified and instantly trembles in fear. Please don't kill me, he shouts. Taharka menacingly smiles. My, how the tables have turned. There is no mercy for you. You have made a lot of innocent people's families mourn. Taharka swiftly leans forward and, in what seems like at the speed of light, rips out the Corp member's heart from his chest, leaving a gaping hole in the man's chest as he leans against the wall motionless and dead. You will not take anyone away from their families anymore, Taharka says as he drops the Corp member's heart on the ground. The other man slowly rises up, looking on terrified and in disbelief at what he just witnessed. I will not harm you. I sense in your heart you are a person of goodwill, Taharka says, now looking at the man. What are you? The man says, numb and still scared. What did this man want from you? Why did he try to kill you? Asks Taharka. He's a member of this organization called The Corp. They have been shaking down all the small business owners in Belmont Court for some reason, making us pay money to them, or they will keep tearing up our businesses, or worse. Most of us don't have much money. Our part of town is mostly working class, responds the man. You won't have to worry about them attacking you anymore. I'll look into this, Corp. Make your way home. Get your rest, says Taharka. Thank you for saving my life. I'm forever in your debt. What is your name if you don't? the man says before being interrupted by a cloud of smoke that appears from thin air. The cloud of smoke covers Taharka, and when the smoke clears, Taharka is gone. The man scratches his head, looking bewildered. Nobody is going to believe any of this shit, he says to himself out loud. Taharka flies into the luxurious neighborhood of Attram Grove, a gated community with massive mansions throughout. He hovers above a mansion at the end of the community before diving into a slightly open basement that shuts behind him. He continues flying past lit candles that adorn the walls in the basement. Taharka transforms into human form and lands, standing on the basement floor. He walks up the basement stairs into the front entrance of the mansion with marble floors and porcelain columns. A man, in his late 50s, Thomas, in a suit and tie, stands before him. "How was your first night flight, my pharaoh?" asks Thomas. "You don't have to keep calling me that, Thomas. You have been with me for a long time. You are of my equal," Taharka replies. "I'm sorry, my pharaoh. It's a habit I choose not to change," responds Thomas. The two men walk into a living room, as Taharka sits in a throne-like chair, and Thomas sits on the other side in front of him. This place, this city, reeks of organization of evil and crime, Taharka says, looking at Thomas while leaning back in his throne. "Yes, I noticed it in the few weeks I have been out in the daytime." "It's expected," says Thomas. "I also had to eradicate some ghouls from preying on some humans as well," replies Taharka. Thomas looks concerned. "Ghouls? In this century?" "Yes, there is a greater evil at work here," Taharka replies. "If ghouls are involved, it definitely is. They are the worst of the worst. I still have scars from our dealings with them several centuries ago," says Thomas, rubbing his left shoulder. "I'll be going out in the daytime tomorrow for a few hours. It's something else I want to check on," Taharka says, rubbing his chin with his right hand. "As you wish, my pharaoh," replies Thomas. Chapter 2. Darkness Rising. Contrary to myths and the stuff of fables and legends, certain vampires are among us in the daytime. Daywalkers, being one such group, and vampires of immense power such as Taharka are the other group. A little girl plays in her front yard. From a distance, someone watches over her she has never met. Her lineage, the great Taharka. He felt it as soon as he awoke from his slumber. The ancestry bloodline of the little girl and her family. The need to protect them, and this city, he feels it is best to watch and protect from the shadows. It will be safer for them, for everyone this way. An hour later, Taharka is walking through a small grassy field a short distance from the hustle and bustle of the crowded and loud middle of downtown in the heart of the city. 3 men, wearing jeans, shirts, and jackets of 3 different colors, appear several yards behind Taharka. 2 of the men are tall and of slender build. One steps in the front of the other 2. He is of a shorter, muscular build. "A fellow daywalker like us, I see. No wonder we were hired for this job. Made you easier to find. Your death will come to us for great position," all 3 men, daywalker hitmen, say in unison. Taharka walks toward the 3 men, stopping a safe distance from them. "You dare seek me out. If a fight is what you have come for, then it is what you will get," he warns the 3 men, pointing at them with his finger. Taharka's eyes glow yellow as a fiery bow and arrow forms in Taharka's hands. 4 ancient Nubian archers made of fire appear beside Taharka, bow and arrows in their hands as well. Summoned from Taharka's power, they all aim and fire arrows made out of fire at the daywalkers, striking each daywalker's body with the fire arrows as their bodies begin to burn, and their flesh boils and melts onto the ground, their bodies revealing their vampiric bones underneath as they hit the ground and wither and scream in pain. "It burns! It burns!" shouts the daywalkers in unison, their skeletal bodies still engulfed in flames. "Who sent you?" shouts Taharka in anger. "We would rather die than tell you." The daywalkers respond in agony. Taharka closes his fists as the fire engulfs the daywalkers even more as they let out a ear-piercing loud scream that can be heard for miles. "So be it. Then burn," Taharka replies. On the other side of town, in the middle of an abandoned, dimly lit warehouse a few miles from the city, a huge crowd is gathered. A tall, muscular brown-skinned male with braids and a gold chain around his neck stands in the middle of the crowd. His name is Ferris. For centuries we have hid in the shadows as these flesh bags ruin this world. While us vampires, ghouls, goblins, succubus, gargoyles, and others sit back and watch. I say no more. I say we massacre these weak humans and take over the world as ours. Are you with me? Asks Ferris, raising one of his hands in the air. The crowd cheers and shouts as if almost in unison. Good. Then we begin. Ferris says with an evil smile emerging on his face. Later, Taharka is sitting on his throne, leaning forward in deep thought.
Whoever sent those daywalkers knows what I am. Someone who is like me, or another sector. A purge is coming to this city. I can feel it.
You have listened to Eternal Wings audiobook, one by Fernand Smith.